Hi sunshines! For this craft, we will be painting a Happy Toast ceramic vase. I got this one on sale and my main reason for grabbing it was because it's one of my most favorite carbs, toast. I'm obsessed with bread, as you'll see in my setup sometimes. I love the thing that literally hurts me the most. A gluten-filled, baked with love piece of bread that comes in all shapes and sizes. So for this craft, they included the paint, the vase, 2 paintbrushes, and a little plastic plant that I may or may not use depending on how I feel. I love the variety of browns they provided for the paint, and it is ceramic, so it's a bit dusty. I'm thinking I may need to seal it with something after I finish, but we'll see. So you'll also need some scissors, black felt for the beret. The front design of the box shows that they made it into an avocado toast, but I'm gonna be real with y'all. Avocado is the one thing that I have a love-hate relationship with. So I decided to turn this supposed avocado toast into something way tastier for me, and that is French toast. My inspo when I saw this craft was from this sticker that my sibling got for me when they went to Japan, so I'm leaning into adding a beret and possibly a cute little mustache to give him some more pizzazz. Alright, time to get started. There were so many brown options that I did a little test to see which ones went best with each other. I also do this when I color in my coloring books as well. Sometimes the color looks a certain way, but once you start using it, it'll change to a completely different color than you expect, so this will help with that. I think I'm gonna go with number 2 for the crust and number 5 for the inside of the toast, so that there's a little contrast with the darker brown and a lighter brown. I'm not gonna lie, this is probably one of the most relaxing things I've done so far. It was a little hard to stay in the lines, but with this craft, I tried to heavily focus on not making everything perfect. I'm trying to heal myself from perfectionism and simply just trying to enjoy the craft, because the other part of me would want to clean up the lines and make sure that I do multiple coats to ensure you couldn't see any streaking. So mentally, it is a bit challenging to ignore those urges, but since there also wasn't a lot of paint for multiple coats, this also helped me just focus on getting just one layer on there and appreciating the imperfection. I also wrestled with using my own paint, which is nothing amazing, but probably a thicker consistency than the paint that they provided, but I wanted to enjoy the craft as it was made to be. So I outlined the crust, and this part took the longest because it had the most surface area, but it was very relaxing once I got over trying to stay within the lines too much. When I was a kid, I'm talking like late 90s, very early 2000s, I have memories of going to ceramic shops and grabbing a variety of ceramic items that included vases, birds, unique items that were popular back in the day. If my memory serves me correctly, it was common to go to these ceramic shops, pick up an item to paint, bring it back when you were done, and they would throw it in a kiln, and then within a few days, you can come back and pick up your masterpiece. I don't have too many memories that I was able to hold on to as a child, but this one was a memory that came back the moment I started painting this vase. A memory I didn't even know I had until I had this flashback, and I'm thankful to have had this moment because it was during a time that I was probably truly happy and is one of my first exposures when it comes to creating art. I think the attractiveness of this activity was that you could pick a fun item and it could turn into literally anything you want it to be. It didn't have to be perfect, it didn't have to have a purpose. The purpose was just to enjoy the process and get excited to see the end result. I'm excited to do more of these random hobbies because they might just unlock childhood memories that I lost as I grew up into this anxiety-ridden adult. I think that's why I'm resorting back to these simple crafts, because a piece of me misses who I was as a child. Carefree, just simply living. But okay, that's enough of that. I can't believe I had that realization, but that's part of the healing process, right? To talk about the parts of you that you may have lost but can slowly find again. What is wrong with me? I'm tearing up just reminiscing about my younger self. Oh my gosh. Loud, help me. Oh wait, let me get myself back together. Hold on one second. Whew. Anyways, back to the craft. I did paint the bottom of the vase because it would have felt unfinished if I didn't, and I had a little more paint to spare, so I went ahead and did the bottom as well. And there she is. The crust is finished. I'm not even gonna lie, I love bread so much that I will finish my boyfriend's crust because he's not a big fan of bread in general. I know, what a crime, what a crime. So garlic bread, pizza crust, if it's bread and he doesn't want it, I'm eating it. I'm eating all of it. So we kind of like balance each other out and it works for us. Also, earlier I could have sworn I said I was going to use the 5th brown, but now I'm watching this over and I think I'm using the 6th brown. Is my memory deceiving me? You know what? I'm not even gonna question it. I think I need to do more brain games because this brain is not braining like it used to. But now I'm painting the inside part of the toast, which I also enjoyed because the brain is completely off while I'm painting. She's usually running 24/7, so the fact that I could even chill for a moment is gold. I tried to get as much of an even coat on this as I could. Paintbrush streaks bother me, but we're gonna ignore the negative thoughts and trust the process because we killed that. I don't care what that evil little villain in my head says. But here she is in all of her glory. I lied. I'm putting a few touch-ups here and there to use up the rest of the paint because if you know me, I don't like to waste a drip of anything. I'm gonna get my money's worth, even if it's a $5 craft. Now I'm going to work on the face. I don't trust myself to paint this tiny little space, so I'm gonna try to use a Sharpie to make it simple. The first eye is a little wonky, but I killed that second eye for sure. As you can tell, my perfectionism is taking over and I'm going over the first eye again. Newsflash, is not a good idea because I think I ended up making it worse. I think this is my first crash out, which isn't bad at all because the last craft, y'all know that was real bad. I found a thinner Sharpie to try to get the small spaces, but because there was paint already underneath it, it was messing up the Sharpies. So the black ink stopped coming out, probably because it started to become like a waxy surface because of the paint. So it was struggling to work. Now that I messed with the first eye, I had to go back into the second eye because one was now bigger than the other. And this is where sometimes you should just stop while you're ahead because it'll just get worse from there. I'm just going to move on to the other side, and here we go. My Sharpie is really giving out on me, and here is my urge to beat up this piece of toast. And now look at her. I'm crashing out again because it just keeps going down from here. Crash out number 2. Here we come. I did find this paint pen that gave me a little hope. It was a little difficult to control the paint because it just created a blob, and the eyes was probably the most stressful part of this. But once again, this is a me problem. If you close your eyes and you squint a little, they are perfect. So that's why we're gonna go with it. If you have bad eye vision, even better. Even better. But look here. Look, now here's my third crash out. I don't know where these marks came from. It was probably because I didn't have patience for things to dry and it smeared because I was working on top of things that was not fully dried out. And that's most definitely my fault. I create my own problems. I literally create my own problems. Now time for the mustachio. I wanted a real fun mustache shape, so I practiced a little bit before I committed. At this point, whatever happens, happens. There wasn't much space between the eyes and the mouth, so I just squeezed it in there as much as I could. I decided my best option at this point is to use the paint pen again because it held up better than the Sharpies ink-wise. It was just a bit bulky, but I didn't have a thinner paint pen unfortunately, so we made it work and I love it. I had to do it again on the other side, and if you're anything like me, I can only usually make things once. If I try to duplicate it again, it most likely will not come out the same, but I think we did a pretty good job considering. For the mouth, it was such a tiny space that I settled with just using a black pen to fill it in. Not the best, not the worst, but I think it worked well enough. For this craft, I'm rating it 1 out of 5 on the difficulty level. It probably was my most relaxing craft yet. And drum roll please. I will be grading myself and giving this piece of art an A. We killed that. I'm gonna go reward myself with some buttered toast because why not? If you know what cartoon that references, buttered toast, let me know if you know. If you're a little older, you would know this cartoon I'm talking about. If not, you know, just ignore me. Just ignore me. I'm being old. Anyways, thanks for hanging out, sunshines. Love you guys. Bye.